study data just in puts Twitter lower than invasive telemarketing calls in terms of one metric of ad channel effectiveness. We'll discuss that and the ad platforms that really work for radio next. Well, Lee, we're going to tackle ad platforms in terms of the ad attention metric, how frequently you pay attention to.
Right.
Different ways that radio station can try to manipulate the numbers a little bit and to get a better rating outcome.
Come on, let's get the word out. And we looked at 24 different ad channels, looking at which of those channels matter most in trying to get your message in front of the people who are going to give you your report card at the end of the Nielsen ratings period.
Ratings Prospect Study 24, we fielded that end of June.
Yep. Well, actually, end of May,
early June. Sorry,
of June. 3,188 respondents, 14 to 64. We kind of shouldered up into the late boomers, if you will, the youngest baby boomers, those who were under 65. 50-50 kind of male-female generational contour there, or rather gender contour. Generational breakout as shown. The Gen Zs over 13 account for a little more than a quarter. The millennials, just a skosh under a third. Gen X similarly. And as I mentioned, these young baby boomers, the ones under 65, account for 1 in 10 of this sample nationwide. And as noted earlier, the end of May, the very beginning of June of this year.
So all this study data does not focus on total sample. We actually don't even really necessarily today drill down into the small subset that are or ratings friendly. No, this is really the most rarefied listener, but it's also the only one that matters when it comes time to getting your ratings report card every month.
Really and truly, because when we've used this question set for a number of years now, where we model out who are the people who are likely to say yes if Nielsen comes a calling with the offer of a meter or fill out this pamphlet. You and everybody in your household do this, and all told, out of a sample of 3,188, it's 15% that would actually comprise that kind of middle part of your pyramid, Mike, and the very tippy top account for 15%. Clearly, these are not proportional looking in terms of how this drawing comes out, but just 15%-ish are the RPS yes likely ratings respondents. Compared to the total sample, it's a subset of those who will really want to pay the most attention to the RPS heavies. These are people who are likely to impanel with Nielsen and listen to broadcast radio at least an hour a day. Very rarefied air. It accounts for 1 in 20 of our sample, 5% who meet that qualification, but they are worth their weight in, well, you pick the
rating points.
Yeah.
It's what makes a difference. What's going to make that 1/10 of a point difference. Whether you've seen a Nielsen CPR report or some other fancy extrapolation that we or other providers do, that basically there's dozens of pages of listed respondent data and maybe a page worth that really matters, where we have those 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 800, or that one household in that one zip code that has two women, 25, 54. Both reporting thousands of quarter hours that make or break your ratings. Right. Those are the people we're looking at here today.
Right.
So when we ask for ad attention, we're actually looking at kind of the frequency of engagement, because that tells us that the platform is sticky. This is a platform or channel where people pay attention to stuff often. So maybe explain the 1 to 6 scale and why we use the top 2 box.
Well, we've asked how often do you pay attention to things advertised on these channels? And, at the bottom end of the scale, it's never. And at the top end of the scale, it's often, or I should say at the top of the scale, it's always, and then just 1 point down at the 5 point. It's often. And of course, things are going to scosh around differently for different people at different times, depending upon how interested in the thing being advertised are you. So we lump those top two boxes together, the fives and the sixes, who represent that they're paying attention at least often, and many of them always. So we're really trying to get into the rarefied air of where we can most effectively place media or, frankly, any kind of ad that might get people to engage.
So 1/20th of an already research-friendly sample, who voted 5 or 6 on a 6-point scale, and we had to field thousands of interviews in order to be able to get to a manageable number, but we did it. And we can't cover all 25 or 24 channels, so let's deal with the bottom of the barrel. These are the ones that fell under the 60% ad attention threshold, which, quite honestly, anything over 50% is really not bad.
Right. None of these are bad, but that's really testimony to these RPS heavies. These are just human sponges who are want to participate. I mean, it's in their, I don't know if DNA is the right term to use, but they're the kind of people who are looking for the little extra something. They are looking for the deal. They're looking for the way to save, 83 cents on that purchase that they're making. They're looking for the way around. And so it's not surprising that they're more likely to look at almost any of these. But it is stunning that among this group, X, formerly known as Twitter, is at the bottom of the ranking in 2024.
Yeah, the ad attention for telemarketing phone calls is actually 10% higher based on the frequency of engagement metric that we're studying today.
Yep.
And I would say that, a couple of these like Snapchat and Instagram are at the bottom of the scale, but we're testing 14 to 64-year-olds.
Right. It's generational outliers. I mean, those and TikTok as well will change up depending upon if you're looking at a younger demographic or an older demographic, but across an entire panel, still balanced at 14 to 64, these things get punished a bit.
Yep. And now we have the generational data. And when we work with clients to set up marketing campaigns or research studies, we really do focus on very specific segments of this.
Mm-hmm.
And so these results are going to be just more global for the ratings inclined who spend a lot of time with radio. Okay. Right. So, and just to drill the point home here, we're comparing now basically the same data, these RPS heavies against total sample.
Right. And you can see, basically it's something approaching 2 to 1, or in some cases better, if I'm comparing the total sample against this rarefied 5% who are likely to participate in a ratings methodology and listen to broadcast radio at least an hour a day.
Hey, one other thing I wanted to draw everybody's attention to is there's a couple of new, they're not channels, but they're tactics, I guess.
Right.
Podcasts of host endorsements, of things advertised. And I think we also have radio DJs here. I'm trying to find it.
We do. Second from the top.
Yep. AM or FM hosts, who I consider to be the original social media influencers or endorsers. And both of them fell under 60%, but considering that's advertising, that is truly commercial advertising.
Right.
Those aren't bad numbers at all. Okay. So we're still outside the top 5, but now we're above 60%. You can see everything's clumped together really closely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a point from top to bottom. I mean, frankly, Mike, it looks like we're looking at the Olympic time trial results.
Social media influencers does, however, command a slightly higher share compared to podcast hosts and FM, AM personalities, which kind of ticks me off a little bit. The other thing is I think this might have been a little bit of an inadvertent issue because we've been testing OTT platforms.
Right.
Ad-supported, basically TV for cord cutters that shows up on your TV or your iPad or your iPhone. And really, there was a huge change in ad-supported streaming this year. Many more platforms adopted the Hulu model, which is you can pay for no commercials or
you can get commercials.
And now Netflix is...
Some of them, like Amazon, don't give you the option. Well, I guess they do, but rarely are people going to pay for the ad
Yeah, I
free.
pay the extortion fee.
Okay.
Yep.
But you get kind of this hybrid of, well, there's a little
Yep.
bit of advertising. So
Yep.
we actually scripted it out, trying to differentiate between, not commercials, although we probably should have said the ones without commercials.
Yep. We didn't do that on this one. But you'll be happy to know that either descriptor, the results were within a point.
Right. But the important ones show up in the top 5.
Yep. And again, keeping in mind that 60% or higher when you're reaching RPS yeses, if heavies, we're in the gold zone here. But
Right.
These are, and again, just to make the point truly hammered home, we're talking now about differences in approaching 3 to 1, well over 2 to 1.
It's pretty much 2 to 1 across the panel until the very bottom, when it's 2.5 to 1 for FM AM radio stations among people who listen to a lot of broadcast radio.
Yep. So, and I think we made this point in the last video, that anyone who's engaged in an advertiser message, where they call your front desk or email you or do a social media post, this is just more evidence that ad engagement is happening from the most valuable segment of the audience, and those people shouldn't be blown off.
They need the benefit of the doubt. They could be, or maybe it's next week or next month, that they're going to be giving you your report card. So treat them like celebrities.
All right. So after that big preamble, we finally get to the top 5, where we actually have a tie for the number 5 spot. So this would be our other descriptor.
Yeah, for OTT.
Or what we'll call OTT, or connected TV.
Sure. But here we've specified that it's ad-supported streaming TV.
Yep.
So it's the places where they're expecting to see ads. Oh, okay, fine. And think about, compared to, mass media in general, these ads may have a tendency to be a little better targeted. So they're likely to pay attention. And among the RPS heavies, compared to the total sample, better than 2 to 1 at 62% gets us into a tie for the top 5.
And streaming advertising on linear TV or commercially interrupted movies tends to be near 100%. And that's because you don't really have a mouse to click away from them, and you're engaged in the plot of the show, and they don't run big spot clusters like we do in radio. So you're back to the entertainment after a quick 30 seconds worth of 2 units of interruption. But tied with that would be sort of the other side of the online video spectrum.
Yeah, but it's a much different concern in terms of how much it costs, isn't it, Mike?
Oh, much different. Yep. So YouTube is probably driving this. We've just seen this in the past, but Dailymotion, Vimeo, these platforms that allow users to upload video, share them, become influencers. It's that kind of thing here. With YouTube as the king. Again, total sample, it's getting healthy here, almost a third. But RPS heavies come in at, again, a couple points better than 6 and 10 now.
Right.
All right. And you'd mentioned low cost. TrueView is probably the most popular ad type. It's a pay for engagement only ad unit.
Right.
If you hit the skip button, within 30 seconds of the ad running, or the entire length of the spot, whichever is shorter, you as an advertiser don't pay. It is a free impression. So you pay for engagement. And here's where it gets interesting. YouTube is now as watched on TV platforms as it is on a mobile device.
Sure.
It's YouTube video podcasting and YouTube music have really revolutionized how people use YouTube. And so as a result, when we run client campaigns, typically a third to a half of all impressions when we're buying YouTube show up on TV, where you get those close to 100% watch through rates. And if you know anything about connected TV, it's a wonderfully engaging medium. And as a result, commercials tend to be more valuable and the cost is much higher, but not with YouTube. It's still that few pennies per paid engagement that you're talking about. So I like to refer to these types of platforms with, where the videos are monetized as poor person's connected TV. How about this one at number 4?
That's wild. That is utterly crazy. But Amazon notches in it at number 4. 2/3
Yep.
add attention among the RPS heavies. That's massive.
And significantly higher than 2-1 at this point now.
Right.
Or a little bit higher. Anyway. And Amazon, of course, you don't have to be an e-tailer with an e-commerce site or an Amazon store to take advantage of Amazon ads. Amazon has an ad platform, the way Google has an ad platform or AT&T has an ad platform. These are called DSPs, demand-side platforms, where you can essentially purchase media, digital media, programmatically. And one of the fallacies is that if you're advertising through Amazon's DSP, you're only showing up on Amazon or imdb.com or Prime Video, but that's not true. You can use Amazon targeting and pretty much get anywhere that's part of any aggregated ad network, which is most things these days: mobile apps, online video, connected TV. But what's interesting is Amazon has a lot of targeting tools that, you're not going to find AM or FM listening levels through Amazon targeting.
Right. They have a streaming channel.
Yep.
They have a streaming service. So,
yep,
of course.
And as a result, specific artist affinity, format affinity, and of course, what we like to pay attention to is that something for nothing reward seeker, which correlates very strongly with RPS heavies, right? The contest players.
Yep.
And you'll have data later on in our Follow Moneyball series to corroborate that.
Yep.
This one actually caused my jaw to drop, because I think in all the years we've done these presentations, we generally will look at the RPS yeses and the total sample in different generations, and male was always sort of a lower tier but declining channel. Yet when we use it, typically the ratings go up.
Yeah, and if you're going to get a meter, or if you're going to, to this point, you're going to get a physical diary, you're going to be the kind of person who goes to the mailbox.
And now we're getting near a 3-1, not quite, but we're getting there. 3-1 relationship between RPS heavies and total sample. It's not direct mail is not a big deal for Gen Pop.
Right.
But look at the people who have an hour a day or more of time spent listening to radio, who will say yes if Nielsen shoves a few bucks in their face to carry a meter for up to 2 years or fill out every station that they allegedly listen to over the course of 7 days.
But direct mail is not inexpensive in 2024.
That is true. However, we have been in the research business for 15 years, Lee, clearly close to it.
Yep.
And we've done music testing and perceptual work in all of the rated markets, pretty much, all the big ones anyway. And so we have a blueprint of the research-friendly radio listeners. And one of the things we ask is recalled time spent listening.
Right.
And there's data modeling techniques that can be used. So the bottom line is we can find the people in the hot zips using your Nielsen data and our proprietary research data and a few other tricks to narrow the playing field down to what we'll call potential RPS heavies. So I remember 10 years ago, we worked for WCBS FM in New York, and we did a lot of 250,000 piece direct mail campaigns. Not even New York has the budget for that anymore. But you don't need to. You can cut your mail cost by 90%.
Right.
Market like Atlanta, 15,000 will more than cover the potential heavy meters. And in Jacksonville, I'd be hard pressed to need to print more than 5,000 pieces to impact a phase. And then, a lot of stations, because the quantities are so low and they get rewarded by printing more, we can actually print all at the same time and then do 2 or even 3 waves of mail. So you can, the first of, every month during the fall, for example, multi-wave direct mail, the promotion might change, and it gives you just more bang for the buck, more potential coverage. And this one's kind of not a surprise, because we saw this the last study.
Sure. But 68%, certainly better than 2/3 now, and well over 2-1 for text messaging, SMS. That opens up a lot of possibilities, doesn't it?
It sure does, because let's remind ourselves that the game is played by appointment setting, and the more occasions throughout the week and across the week, throughout the day and across the week, the more likely you are to have an impact here.
We all know what that sound is, Mike. You're getting a call.
Yeah, I'm putting it on hold. But there's some other benefits too. This is kind of a tease for more information in future videos, but Lee, maybe you can explain about the how responsive RPS heavies were to a contest or sweepstakes offer.
Well, we're finding that, it's not surprising that people who would opt in with Nielsen, if offered, are people who will opt in for a lot of things. And we've started tracking what will you share what have you shared your mobile number or email address for, or what are you likely to? And we've gotten pretty specific. And some of these that we've researched have absolute, aspects or uses in radio. So, obvious things like contest or sweepstakes offer, but also, we look at location and, and app tracking. So location tracking means that now we've got the opportunity to really get in deep with them and follow them around in a very unusual manner.
Yeah, we're helping radio stations geo-fence, for example, their competitions presents of a core band. In one case, our client didn't get their sports rights they wanted, and they lost out to another competitor, and that took a lot of internal sponsorships off the table. But no, it didn't, because we're able to draw a ring around the baseball stadium and serve ads that are targeted on behalf of a radio station client into that MLB stadium while the game is in progress. So yeah, it's not the big outfield sign. It's a more stealth version of it, but all possible because this data gives us confidence, not only that we're reaching ratings-friendly radio listeners, but also reaching the station's radio listeners. And so you combine that with on air, and boy, somebody does want to reach me, don't they? And so it goes. All right, so number one, the all ubiquitous Google.
71%, top of the scale. But that's not just one thing. I mean, we all think Google and search engine, but Mike, in 2024, it's a lot of different places that Meta is in your life.
Yep. I think the most exciting of these is a machine learning driven cross-platform within the Google ecosystem. Because as you mentioned, Google is a lot more than just search. It's a display network. You probably know that Google owns YouTube. And you've probably used Gmail or any one of a number of Google apps that have some kind of display or video advertising. And that just scratches the surface. There's Maps. We all use that to navigate these days. I don't know how to get around even my town after 10 years of living here. And so there's a new Google advertising tactic called Performance Max, or PMax for short. It gives you the ability to serve ads ubiquitously across all of these platforms in kind of a mix and match way. So you no longer have to worry about, okay, I need to get my YouTube campaign built, and I need to have the video for YouTube and put it over here in this bucket and set up this ad. And, I just want to, have a picture of the right combination of format artists. Remember the kind of rocket science we'd go through, trying to get the era balance and the recognizability of a cluster of artists together on a billboard.
Oh, can ZZ Top be that close to Tom Petty?
Should be next to Tom Petty or Eric Clapton.
Right.
Just don't know. You don't have to do that anymore. Why? Because the machine learning algorithm can take the audience data and or the music research data, the artist loyalty study, whatever it is that Lee's conducting. We can ingest that into the PMax system and then upload whatever is legally allowed and not subject to copyright, publicity photos with your station logo on them that one-to-one match based on demonstrated past preference for a specific music genre or specific artist. So now The Eric Clapton cohort can get the Eric Clapton image with your radio station brand message. And the Tom Petty cohort can get theirs, et cetera, et cetera. And what I like about this mostly is that we're able to now use our research like a creative brief for AI, and it's getting smarter and smarter every week. Pretty powerful stuff.
It's pretty amazing.
So how do we put this to work typically?
Well, I mean, it's a matter of trying to make the money work against budgets that broadcasters have access to in 2024. So you've got, I'm looking at this thinking these are very similar to what would come out as real numbers, although this has been
a little different than our ratings prospect data, right? Because we're dealing with a real world and not an already research friendly sample.
Fair enough. So you start with a metro with 1 million population as an example. If you were drilling it down to
women 25-54,
right? Oh, right.
Which is actually what this is.
So now you're at under 500,000.
Yeah.
You would winnow that down further to
get your CPR report in there.
Right, where the zip codes where the rating service is likely to, or has in the past gotten participation.
Yep. And then we superimpose our secret sauce, which is is the household likely to be survey friendly or not?
Right. And then we infer those who are going to use a lot of radio.
Yep. Birds of a feather flock together. We know the profile. Large households, generally with kids, not always, but household income levels. We put all that in, and then we map it, and we can find that roughly 10 to 15,000 out of a market of 1 million that are going to move the needle for the radio station.
Which makes it a lot easier to go after that target. You've suddenly got enough money in the eyeballs or earballs of that group of people multiple times to try to influence them.
Suddenly when corporate tells you you've only got $5,000 or $7,000 and you're lucky to get it because everyone else's budget has been reallocated. Each radio station's $1,000 ad budget's been allocated to your station because you're the one in the ratings basement. So reminds me of Mel Karmazin conversations I used to have. All right, so we're going to wrap this up now. Lots of takeaways from this particular edition.
And I think it's important to note that we're just looking at the RPS heavies as sort of this lump, when in fact, per station, we're going to be looking more deeply at how old are they, or what's their gender, what kind of formats are we talking about, because all of these numbers vary around. And so the top 5 we've shown today, Mike, aren't necessarily the top 5 for a specific format. This is just in general.
Yep. And let's remind you too that the total population and even the subset of your audience that's more likely to say yes to Nielsen, they're not as advertising inclined as what we've shown here today by a factor of 2 or even 3 to 1. The RPS heavies are just that much more media active compared to a comparable total market demographic.
Right. And we're talking about 1 in 20. I mean, and as you've pointed out a few times, thank you very much for that. We're starting with a sample of people who are already research friendly. I mean, it's not the really needle in a haystack that Nielsen has to deal with on an ongoing basis. For us, it's 1 in 20. For them, it's 1 in who's going to return a meter or rather keep the meter or return the diary. It's really small.
And then our playbook is what we just mentioned. We find the folks in the hot zips likely to participate in Nielsen who prefer a certain format and that who we infer listen to lots of radio. And then we try to hit them with as many different marketing channels that are more customized based on specific demographic appeal as we can. And you have been busy putting the finishing touches on RPS 24, and you're almost ready to be able to share this one-on-one now with stations.
Yep. And if you'd like a preview, tell me more at newvoodoo.com or Lee, Leigh at newvoodoo.com. We'll get you set up with an appointment. And if you have any other needs or you want to talk about, hey, maybe this is something you could help us with in the fall, we're glad to do that. Email, we'll get you started.
It is the fall of Moneyball. We'll continue to share our top line data with everyone. Stand by for the next video.
New Voodoo builds digital products and conducts research and marketing campaigns for clients.
It's easy to get in touch. Drop us a line at tellmemore@newvoodoo.com.